So today, I finally could test the Faber Castell water-soluble graphite pencils. I've wanted to try them for over a year now, but they just weren't available until now. They're a bit expensive though. The whole thing was for 50 rupees, so divide that by 5 and it's 90 per pencil, which is about a bit more than $1 per pencil, but maybe that's because they're imported. The Derwent ones are even more expensive though. Anyway, we are starting with swatching the pencils out from thinnest to thickest. And I feel like the HB and 2B are coarser and scratchier compared to a normal drawing pencil of the same size. Beyond that though, I don't think there's any significant difference. I actually had ordered them last year, but when they had marked them as the water-soluble ones, but when they arrived they were just the normal pencils, so I had to return them. And then putting down the water, I was a bit shocked at how easily it just dissolved, especially the softer sizes. And judging by this weird circle thing, when activated with water, it becomes, or looks, much darker than the dry pencil lines. It becomes matte too, which was surprising to me because I was sort of expecting a bit of graphite shimmer, but there's nothing like that. And the second thing that the circle shows me is that using the pencil on top of wet paper will destroy the surface and refuse to blend out. But that might just be that the sketchbook I'm using is making it worse. It's an A3 mixed media by Minora, but it's about 2 years old and it's been rubbed around a lot, so the paper surface isn't in the best of shape. The portrait I'm drawing is of chandelions on Instagram, or maybe it's called chandelines, I'm not sure. She does really bright, joyful clowncore stuff and I love it. Unfortunately, I didn't get her likeness down very good, but I'm so happy with the results because I just had to sacrifice accuracy for haste here. Usually, I always have a mirror on my desk to check how the sketch is going from time to time, but I didn't want to go all the way up and bring it down, so we managed. And as for the shading, I'm not going for a sketchy look by any means, but I'm also not going for something that's really rendered out completely. So I first take the 2B and fill in the mids and shadows, basically just leaving out the highlights, and then blend it out completely. And then it's time for the second layer of shadows and blend that out and rinse and repeat. This is just the fastest way of getting this kind of thing done. If I was doing something that was more highly rendered, then I would not do it this way. I'd work on it more carefully. So now I've worked down to the 4B, and I am putting in the actual darks. I like to work on the eyes first because they're usually the most important part. Oh, and for the eyelashes, I think the fastest way to get them to look good is to do the two eyelashes together in a point and then a smaller lash in between the clumps of two. And I'm adjusting the values of everything as I go, since I'm going from the lightest to the darkest pencil. And in the photo, her nose is painted red, so it's darker than the main value of the skin. But I decided not to try and recreate that, just to keep things simpler and easier. Then I'm adding the flowers and little clown triangles. It's not that accurate to the reference, but it really doesn't matter. And since I didn't make her nose darker, I can't erase out the flower on her nose, so I just had to color it in, or shade it in, or whatever. As for the hair, I sort of just ignored that it is a lurid, almost neon yellow, and went for a medium light value because that would just be easier. So I put down some shadows in relevant areas and blended it out and continued layering that way. Well, I think it was just 2 layers. And it's actually the eraser part that makes this technique really pop, but the kneaded eraser was just too soft for this. I usually use normal erasers that I cut into pointy bits, but once again, I did not want to go up and get them. And so I just finished it off with roughly drawing in the collar and hat. My initial plan was to render it out the same amount as her face, but I was out of time, so I had to settle for this. I also had meant to draw the little clips in her hair, but yeah, difficulty and time. Finally, I just used the darkest pencil, which is the 8B, to really make the darkest areas look good. And now I tried out the actual water part. I actually used a spray bottle to mist the entire drawing first, but I somehow recorded the wrong part. But it doesn't matter anyway because nothing really happened. I was hoping it would do a speckled sort of texture like you get with watercolor sometimes. So I just dropped water all over the place. And I accidentally went over a water droplet, and yeah, I was sort of taken aback by how dark the wet version was. Although it does dry down a little bit lighter, but especially in real life, it still looks much darker. So I added pencil to the other side to try to even things out. And here I find out that the wet pencil torn marks can be fixed. The main face now looks a bit washed out, because of how dark the surrounding became, so I tried to darken up some spots again. It really doesn't look that noticeable in the camera, but it does in real life. The last thing I did was mist more water on top, but once again, it did nothing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review slash experiment. I will have to figure out a way to use these pencils that would be unique to them. Like, if I wanted a watercolor look, why wouldn't I just use watercolor? And if I was doing pencils, then why not just use normal pencils? And of course, if you have these pencils, please share what you use them for. And thanks for watching.